everybody. So a few days ago, I made a post asking you guys for questions to do an AMA, Q&A, whatever you want to call it. And you guys asked for over 350 questions. So over on my main channel, I did 10 questions plus, I think, 4 quick fire questions. And then here are 10 more questions. And I tried to divide it up nice and evenly. It's not like all the good ones over there and all the bad ones over here. I just kind of went, here's the 3 most popular questions asked, and I put them here. And then I put the next 3 most popular questions in the second video. Kind of did that sort of thing, so it would divide it up and make it nice and interesting. Try to counterbalance some of the questions too. If there's a question on overrated movies on one, it's underrated movies on the other. And with that said, let's get started. Question number 1. Which superhero villain would you want to see in their own standalone movie in the MCU? I don't want a standalone villain movie in the MCU. That doesn't sound very interesting to me. This one's tricky because there's not a bunch of characters that I'm just sitting there I can't wait until all these people get their own standalone movie inside of the MCU. I'm interested in the X-Men coming over. That's cool. I'm interested in Fantastic Four coming over. That would be cool. But even some of the characters like the Punisher and Daredevil that I really like on Marvel Netflix, I don't want them to have a movie because I enjoy what they're doing with them on Marvel Netflix. So, man, I don't have anyone that's in particular coming to mind. Like after watching Infinity War, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to see a Thor, Groot, and Rocket Raccoon movie? So that's where I could see something where I'd be more interested in these odd team up type things that they could potentially do. That's where I think I'm a little bit more interested rather than standalone movies. Like that's the team up ones where let's take these 2 characters in a Black Widow and a Hawkeye movie. Actually, I want them to do a Marvel Netflix shows what I'd actually be interested in them. So I kind of answered your question, not fully though. Next question. Do you have a favorite director-actor duo? I'm going to cheat this one a little bit and switch director to filmmaker and make it a little bit more broad so I can give my answer. My answer is George Lucas and Harrison Ford that brought us Han Solo and Indiana Jones. So I dig both of those characters, and so that's a nice little duo right there. So there's a ton of ones where there's great actors that have done a lot of work with great directors, but when it comes to just bringing characters to life, that this director, filmmaker guy came up with some characters, and this actor brought them to life, I gotta go Harrison Ford, George Lucas. Next up, this is a counter to a question on the other one. What are some movies you think are overrated? Questions like this, I always get nervous about because I don't want to get in trouble with people that get mad at me. The original Blade Runner, I've never got it. I've watched it a number of times over the years. I watched it in the 90s. I watched it in the zeros. I watched it about a year ago. And it's just never clicked with me. It's a movie to me that feels very pretentious. Like the production design is great, cinematography is great. The actual story and what they're trying to do with it just feels very above the actual quality of the film. More recently, I didn't understand the amount of hype that Arrival and La La Land were getting. Just seemed a little bit overhyped to me, and very good movies. I gave them both glowing reviews, but when it Best Picture, Best Musical in 50 years, redefining science fiction. Maybe we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves on this one. Next question from Liam. Hey, that's my son's name. What is your favorite type of video you make? Rankings, reviews, AMAs, etc. I don't have anything that sticks out as this is my favorite type of movie to make or video to make. All of them have a certain side to them where some of them are a lot of fun to make, and then other ones are more work to make or harder, or the process just gets so like shooting the Marvel videos where I'm talking about all 20 movies, that's a lot of work. That's very exhausting to create those videos because there's so many movies. So it's just like a marathon session filming it. It's a marathon session editing it. Other ones where I'm talking about a franchise I'm not as excited about, and so I'm trying to, or that's just not very interesting. A lot of the movies are similar. Those can be frustrating, but at the same time, I really like making ranking videos. It's like a very easy way to create a language for us to have a conversation back and forth. So I enjoy that side to it. So I don't really know. What I need to do a lot more of is I like to do more deeply researched things where I've done ones where it's like how to fix Justice League. I really enjoyed working on that. Or when I did the one that I talked about in my other video on 16 Marvel movies you haven't seen before, and so did some research. I had to look up into some things. That's the stuff that's the most fulfilling to me. And I've got a bunch of research. I want to start doing some videos on like ranking videos that are of canceled movies for franchises or movies that didn't happen, things kind of like that. That's some stuff that I think would be a lot of fun to kind of dive into in a different, talking about things in a different sort of way. But I can't say that's my favorite thing to do because I don't do very many of them because there's just a lot of work. So I don't have a good answer for that. So just kind of looking into it. Movie reviews in general are probably the ones that are the least fun to create them. And a lot of it's just the nervousness. You watch a movie one time and then you're trying to sort through your thoughts on it and like, did I remember that right? And those ones can maybe less fun. Next up, Johnny Christ says, if you made a film, what genre would it be in? It would probably be an action movie with some martial arts in the mix and possibly with time travel in there, or a time travel movie, or it'd be one of those two types of things. As just a general genre, almost certainly action movie, but potentially it would also be a time travel movie. There's a lot of fun things to do with time travel. Yeah, so those are the ones that come to mind. So basically, I would remake Time Cop is what I would do. There you have it. Next up, we've got, why do you enjoy being a movie film critic? Well, I enjoy talking about movies. That's why I started my channel, is because I was talking about movies with the people around me a little bit too much. They weren't necessarily always talking back. And so then I started the channel because I wanted to talk with people that could start interacting back and forth with me. I was in the comment section on other people's videos. I was reading articles on Collider, and I was commenting on their stuff, and they wouldn't always respond back. So I wanted to drive the conversation. It's just like to watch movies, and I like to talk about movies, and I want to put my ideas out there. And YouTube makes a way to do that. So I think about myself more as like just a guy that likes to talk about movies more so than as a movie reviewer or a movie critic. And so what do I enjoy about doing this? I enjoy watching movies. I can enjoy talking movies with you guys, and that I enjoy steering the conversation. All the reasons I started it, that's what I kind of enjoy about it. More recently, now that I've been kind of successful at it, it's made it so that I'm going to movie press screenings of movies, and I got to go for free to see The Meg a week before it came out on a lake with my wife. And that's a really cool thing to be able to do. And so now there's some of these kind of like perk type things that kind of go along with it. But at the core of it is just, I'm doing what I've always done, which is I like to talk about movies. And there you go. Real quick in the middle of this, just do some rapid fire questions. Do you work out? I didn't for about a year and a half because my job, I pick up, gets a pain all the time. And then about 6 weeks ago, I hit the gym again and started changing up my diet and stuff, trying to put on some good weight. And so I'm actually up 15 pounds, been back in the gym for about 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. Trying to get as big as I can before my new baby arrives next month. Next one. Hey, Sean, who's your favorite film composer of all time? Easy, John Williams, easy number one. Just so many iconic scores for all these movies right behind me. So obvious number one. For number two, I would go with James Horner. Now, James Horner could compete with John Williams, except he copied himself so much that he just, so many times that so many of his scores sound like other ones that he's distinctly pretty far down below him. And I'm starting to warm up to Hans Zimmer. For a while, I kind of held back on liking Hans Zimmer too much, but I'm coming around to him. Next question, is this YouTube channel your main source of income? Not really, but sort of. I have a full-time job delivering paint, as I just mentioned. That is my base. I get a certain amount of money every month, and I get health insurance from it. But this year, I've probably made a little bit more money from YouTube than I have at my paint job. And so, but I don't get health benefits from YouTube. So I couldn't, it's not like it would be wise to switch over because I've got a pregnant wife. That would be very bad. So it's kind of like, it's a 50-50 deal for me right now. It's like YouTube is transforming my life right now because of how much money I'm making doing it. But it's also not enough that I could do it full time just yet for other reasons. So there's kind of the situation. This is an interesting one. Do you think Hollywood will ever run out of movie ideas? No, I don't think they can run out of ideas. People think they run out of ideas because like, oh, we're just remaking RoboCop. They've run out of ideas. That's not what it is, though. They're not running out of ideas. It's that it's a business, and so they're trying to make safe decisions, and they're trying to do a bunch of different things. But indie films are still out there. You just don't go and see them. Like Upgrade was a very original film, interesting concept that was like a bunch of things, but its own distinct, unique thing. I posted my review for it. It was like my lowest performing video that I've done in 3 months or something like that. And it's because people want to they go see these bigger type things. It's just not Hollywood's run out of ideas. All of these creative ideas are still out there. Also, they're not going to run out of ideas because all the classic stories and tropes and story templates are always new and fresh about every 10 or 15 years. With the rate at which culture is changing so rapidly, you can, some of the reasons you can remake these stories is because society's in such a different place. Technology's in such a different place. You even think about a movie like Die Hard. How different would Die Hard be if John McClane had one of these in his pocket? And he could FaceTime with the cops, and he was just able to easily send them footage. Like, here, there, who's in there? Right, that's the guy right there, and they can just show footage of it, and they can do all these sorts of things. It's a totally different movie if you have technology, and so there's a bunch of different reasons that you can always make these stories fresh and new as society and culture changes, and you can build on what's come before. So I don't think they'll run out of ideas. Next up, Han Solo Tube HD says, what movie changed your life or had an effect on you? There's a ton of movies that I've enjoyed or kind of in different sorts of ways inspired me, but they're all just kind of in the same sort of category. The interesting story, and it's kind of in its own way kind of weird and embarrassing, but maybe it's a good thing. So there's a situation where I was trying to get a job about 9 years ago, 9.5 years ago, and there's this tough situation kind of unfolded. I don't want to go into any of the details at all, but it was the place that I was at for 8 years. And so if everyone knows what I'm talking about if they're from the place, but it was a real tough situation under the context under which I might have been hired. And the thing that kind of pushed me over to say yes and take the job was watching the trailer for Star Trek 2009. Now, there's a lot more to it than that. It's a lot more complicated than that. But there was like an actual side to it of just kind of the themes and sort of ideas in it. And just at the right moment, like just as cheesy as it sounds, as goofy as it sounds. It was just kind of the right words at the right time. And I couldn't logically explain it and walk through and be like, well, this was said and that's why it was nothing like that. But that trailer at the right moment in my life had spoke enough truth to me to where I ended up taking a job, and I was there for up until 2016. It's just interesting things like that. That's the one that comes to mind. So it wasn't a movie, but it's actually a movie trailer that had a very big impact in my life in a very interesting sort of way. Next up, how long do you see this channel lasting? I have no clue. I really have no clue how long this channel will last for a number of different reasons. That I don't know what YouTube's doing. YouTube's kind of a weird thing. I don't know where my life's going to be 6 months from now or a year from now. Like, I'm hoping to go full time by January, and so that this would be what I do for a living full time. I don't know what started with full time and ended with full time, but so this would be my only job by January. That's my goal. That is what I'm actively working to try and set the pieces up for that. And right now I'm doing that on YouTube, but that could be any number of different platforms. And, if you build an audience and build a resume, and you can transfer that to other things. The key thing for me, though, is I'm excited about the idea of not having a boss. Like, I don't view this as like, if I could if I could build up my resume on here and build an audience, and then I could get like Collider to hire me, or then I could get fill in the blank whoever else, or then I could work for this. Then I could be on Hollywood. I was about to say Hollywood Reporter, but that's not a show. Hollywood Access or Access Hollywood. Like, that's not my goal at all. My goal is not to transition this to something else. So when I say I don't know how long it'll last, because I just don't know how long life transitions, and I thought I'd be in that last job I talked about, in that line of work for much longer than I ended up being in that, and all sorts of things. I don't know where life's going to take me, but this isn't a stepping stone for me. This is that I want to build something to where I'm in control, I'm the boss. And my work effort and how smart and clever I am, that's what's in charge, not the wind blowing in the direction of some boss of mine or something else like that. So anyway, I don't have a clear answer to your question, but I thought that was an interesting little question. Next question, how was your childhood? I'm 11 and very mixed. Mine was pretty tumultuous. My dad made a lot of bad life choices, alcoholic and a bunch of other things. And so my parents got divorced when I was in middle school. There was other bad relationships, other divorces before I graduated high school. My mom was in a car accident, was in a hospital for a couple of months. So there's just a lot of things that were pretty crazy. My dad died when I was 20 years old. And so a very weird experience with my childhood. I wasn't particularly social. I wasn't super plugged in at school or anything like that, but had people I was friends with. But really it was at church where the lifelong friends that I've made and people like the guy that I still go to the gym with now, that our wives hang out and kids hang out and friends with each other. I met him in the 5th grade at church. The guy that I go to the movies with, the guy that kind of helped me actually get on some press lists. I met him in the 3rd grade at church, and we still hang out and still go to the movies with each other. So yeah, it was kind of a weird childhood. Like I don't look back like the horrible memories or anything like that, but a lot of pretty unstable things happened in my childhood. And our last one on here, since you talk about it really rarely, what are your favorite animated films, like top 5? So my kind of period of time for animated films was the Disney Renaissance. So I would go Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Aladdin, same time period, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, Finding Nemo I didn't see until I was like 30 years old and already a dad, and that one kind of hit me right there in the chest. So I'll throw Finding Nemo in the mix on that one. I'm not as much of an animated person. So it's not like that I don't enjoy them. It's not that I've got Madagascar right here. But just when you're talking about those movies that are just like, what do I by natural default want to put on? It's not normally an animated movie. So that's why I don't talk about it as much. I tend to drift towards the things that I personally am excited about and kind of make my channel interesting and unique. Anyway, there you have it. If you didn't check out the other video, check it out right over there. 10 more questions plus some quick round questions. I think you'll love that video. So go check it out right over there.